Well, we know a guy that knows a lot about the Reds and the Cubs. Friend of the show.
Multi-time
friend of the show.
Yeah.
And he joins us now live. Gordon Wittenmyer, the great Gordon Wittenmyer. We like to call him Commissioner Gordon. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fine. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing great. So Gordon is at the Cincinnati Enquirer, but covering the Reds on a daily basis. But he's also the co-host of the Cubs Recap podcast with our guy Cap. Mm-hmm. So it's like the best of both worlds. So we got both sides of the story.
Well, that's the best of both. Well, that's one way to look at it. That's one side of the coin.
So my question right out of the gate, Gordon, is this. Are the Reds and the Cubs the two best teams in the division? Even though the Brewers ran away with it last year, could you make a scenario or could you form an argument that the Cubs and Reds are the two best teams in the division?
I think you can, and you really have to kind of lose faith in the Brewers to do that, right? Mm-hmm. They lost Willie Adames, an all-star shortstop, to free agency, and they traded away maybe the best closer in the game in Devin Williams. So those are huge losses. Now, we saw them lose a $40 million manager a year earlier, and Brandon Woodruff to injury, and Corbin Burns, a Cy Young winner. And then they won 90 games again and won the division. So I never rule them out or dismiss them. However, I don't know how they make that up again, even with Brandon Woodruff coming back from injury this year. That said, the Cubs have done more than anybody in the division with the Kyle Tucker move alone. Now, in my mind, they had a lot of room to grow, and probably should have been more aggressive because they're the one team with resources in this division that could have put their foot on the throat of everybody else, and they haven't done that, at least yet. If they get Roki Sasaki, then they might run away with things with good health and an average bullpen. That said, there's only one other team in the division that's doing anything to add to their roster, and that's the Reds. The Reds, with limited resources, same payroll as last year, which is basically $100 million, went and brought back their best pitcher, not Hunter Green, he's already on a contract, their best pitcher from 2024, Nick Martinez, on a qualifying offer, which some people in the industry think was idiocy, but in my mind was kind of shrewd from the baseball operations point of view because they didn't have their budget yet. But if you extend him a qualifying offer, you're assured of if he takes it, you have to pay him, you have to bring him back, and which is a good thing for their competitive chances. And if he doesn't, you get a draft pick. So they got him back, and then they went and they just traded for Gavin Lux. They traded for Brady Singer earlier in the offseason to bolster that rotation. Their rotation and the Cubs rotation are probably the deepest in the division, although Pittsburgh obviously is really strong up top. And then they went and brought in Jose Trevino in a trade with the Yankees for a backup catcher that they didn't have, and a guy with World Series experience. Gavin Lux and Jose Trevino come in with some serious experience. World Series experience a couple months ago, for whatever that's worth, right? So they're trying. They're trying within their means. And they've actually added and I think improved and really, honestly, maybe the biggest free agent in the division so far has been the acquisition of Terry Francona to the Reds. So now you got arguably two of the best managers in the game in that division. And plus, neither one of those guys, right, is the guy that just won Manager of the Year in Milwaukee. So
I was going to say, I'm sorry, Gordon, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, if Council didn't make that big of a difference in wins and losses last year, why do you think Francona might in Cincinnati?
Because what I saw in Cincinnati was a manager problem. And put it this way, could be improved with a different approach. And I didn't see that necessarily in Chicago. I saw I saw a higher of opportunity when maybe the top existing guy, but in many people's minds, suddenly became available. And so they did what they did when Joe Madden became available. They kicked their guy to the curb and went and got him, thinking they would upgrade because there's an opportunity to. In Cincinnati, they had a problem with some guys taking advantage of their manager, who's one of them. David Bell is one of the best people in the game. He's one of the best human beings in baseball, and he's a terrific baseball man. Comes from a 3-generation major league family, but he's got a bedside manner approach to what he does, which is great when you have enough veterans with strong voices in the clubhouse as you bring up young guys that he's able to influence and encourage. It really worked. It worked in 2023. That's why he got an extension coming off of that season. But even some of the players at the end admitted they probably took advantage of him. Honestly, they looked unprepared at times. That's not going to happen under Terry Francona.
Okay. For me, the biggest question for the Reds in terms of them perhaps exceeding projections, whatever their projection is today. How dare you
say that?
How dare me to say that, Luke? But in terms of them legitimately being better than the Cubs is going to come down to how good will Matt McLain be in his return, because he had a great rookie season, and they've shown to have some sort of young nucleus there. But as we've seen here in Chicago over the years and just around baseball, as Theo Epstein once said, what is it? It's not always linear. Development isn't always linear. What is his status right now in terms of being ready for opening day or spring training? I really haven't seen anything. And how is his health factoring into how the Reds are operating this offseason, you think?
His health, by all indications, is back to full health. He obviously spent the season on the IL with that shoulder injury, non-throwing shoulder injury, had surgery on it. He injured it diving for a ball in practice in spring training. Tell that to Allen Iverson. But he got healthy by the end of the season, and then they had him play some games in the Arizona Fall League just to get some games under his feet and to get his body acclimated to game shape again. And he fared well, had a normal off season. So yeah, that's a good call bringing him up, because really good health for him is a lot of the improvement they're counting on. And that's a big if as well, because he's got 3 months on the active roster in the big leagues, and so he's still got a lot to prove. He's got the idea of development being not necessarily a linear thing is going to come into play this year. We're going to find out. But he was their best player in the first 3 months of his career. He was their best player, and all the way around. The big thing that I look for from him is this was an awful fielding team. This is the one area the Cubs have a clear advantage on the Reds. The Cubs have Gold Glovers in their lineup. The Cubs can catch the ball at a lot of really important positions. The Reds don't have that anywhere. They don't have a threat for a Gold Glove, except maybe McLain. If McLain were to settle in at second base, like he's a natural shortstop. In my mind, he's probably the better shortstop just for his consistency and ability than Ellie De La Cruz, who was an all-star. But he's potentially a Gold Glove threat over there at second, kind of like Nico. Nico can play shortstop, but you settle him in at second base, he's a stud. And that's potentially Matt McLain. And what he can do for the defense, I think, is something that is linear. Like I think they can count on that. The other guy, their center fielder, TJ Friedel, he was their best outfielder, and he missed a lot of last year. He had 3 injuries and missed a lot of time. If he's healthy and plays most of the games this year, that's going to upgrade their outfield defense a little bit too. The rest of it, I don't friggin' know. They were the worst team in baseball at third base, first base, and DH. I don't know where they make up all that ground unless McLean helps raise all boats. Jamer Candelario, who you guys know, was really a first-year bust on a 3-year contract. If he can stay healthy, and his career high in home runs is 22. He hit 20 even in a bad year and an injured year last year. If he can get a career high in home runs and be consistent and stay healthy, doesn't have to be great. He'll help improve that. And then Gavin Lux. A lot of people think Gavin Lux still has upside, and maybe in that juggernaut lineup with the Yankees, didn't really have a chance to settle in and be a major player in that lineup. But maybe a change of scenery. He's only 27 years old, and he finished really strong. Take a look at his second half numbers; they're terrific. If they find a place for him to play. So these are the areas at the margins that they can get better. And if one of those areas is a big improvement, now your starting pitching, which is really good, can take you places.
We've been talking a lot of Reds. The live YouTube chat says they don't want to hear any more about the Reds, Gordon. They only want to talk Cubs from now on. My question is a little more serious. I do want to touch on this because it's someone you would have been around. I saw last night that Brian Mattis, who was on the 2016 Cubs, passed away. I don't know the details of what happened. It's just really sad. It's a guy that's under 40 years old. What do you remember about Brian Mattis in the clubhouse?
Well, I mean, just that he was a nice guy. I mean, he was only there a little bit.
Yeah.
He made one appearance. It was a start for 3 innings for him, like mid-season, July. Well-liked, fit in. I mean, this just seemed like a good guy. Didn't get a chance to know him well, and I was really sad to see that. I've been scouring the web looking for what happened, and I don't know what.
Right.
But just awful news.
It was sad to see. I mean, it does seem like he was hardly on the team, but he was a member of the 20. He got a ring. He was a piece of that 2016 team.
He did get a ring. It's unfortunate that, I think most Cubs fans remember him from starting. The game that Gordon just mentioned it's the game that John Lester had the walk-off bunt.
Yeah.
They made that huge comeback, but they wouldn't have been down if he wasn't that bad in that start. But, I mean, it's unfortunate that's what most fans remember him for because of how that game ended. But
with the Orioles for quite a bit of time. I think he was the number 4 pick overall in the draft. All right, Gordon. So you're still watching a lot of Cubs baseball. I love the Tucker move. In your opinion, do you think there's any way they bring him back after 1 year? That they actually signed a long-term deal? Because I've said the only path to that for me that I can see is they get Roki and he saves them a ton of money in the rotation. They get huge contributions out of guys like Shaw. Maybe Casey comes up and does it. All the players that are making less money but can be key players on this team, if they all start to contribute or, dare I say, exceed projections, then maybe you have money to go out and spend on a guy like Tucker long term. Do you think there's any chance of that?
Am I allowed to say bullshit on this show? Because
yes, you are.
Well, you have.
No, the path to doing this is having the balls to do it.
Well,
if you want to go sign him to a market value deal, you should have a chance to do that as the Chicago freaking Cubs.
Yes.
They've got money they're not spending. Look, we've seen a model of some of the winners in recent years exceed the luxury tax threshold, sometimes by a lot, and still thrive in the years to follow instead of being afraid of, their 20th pick becoming a 30th pick in the draft. And look at what the Dodgers just did. Okay, so never mind what's come in the previous 5 years when they won 2 World Series and spent all that money on Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and others. Yamamoto, $300 million. But they just traded Gavin Lux after signing a Korean middle infielder to a 3-year deal. And what did they do in that trade with Gavin Lux? They got a competitive balance pick. They got the 37th overall pick. Look, there are ways to maneuver around this when you're a big market team. And the Cubs are choosing not to do it. So I don't want to hear this bullshit about if they get, it's like, we're talking football now. We're talking about the quarterback on his first contract, and then you can build a line and the other positions and so on and so forth. That's not how baseball works. If you got the money, you can spend it.
Absolutely agree with you 100%. What you're not hearing from me is I'm living in reality. I know the Cubs are cheap. So I'm saying the only way I think they will do it.
Don't let them get away with it. That's BS.
Gordon, as the number one Cubs podcast out there, you would know that we every day that's all we talk about. We have a guy in our chat that every time all we see is Ricketts is cheap. I'm saying the only way I believe that he will be on a long-term deal is if some of those things happen, which then makes it way less attractive to me for this season. Now, do I think they should do it?
It makes it way less attractive if I'm Kyle Tucker. If that's what it takes, I don't know if I want to be part of that team. I'm going to go in the open market and see if one of these teams that really cares about winning first wants me.
I believe exactly what you're saying, and we've sat here too. And the fact that they didn't even make a call on Juan Soto is even more damning. Like when you have a top 5 player in baseball and you're not making a call on him, but you're one of the big dogs in baseball when it comes to bringing money in, then why? So that's, I agree. I don't think Tucker's a long-term deal. The only path I can see because of the way they do operate is some crazy stuff to happen with low-money guys, and I still don't think it's going to happen. So that part of it's disappointing. Yeah. Is he good enough
I think
to help?
Jed's going to try. I don't know what he's going to be able to do.
Is he good enough? Is he that much better than Cody Bellinger to actually increase the production of that offense? You know what I'm saying? Like, you did remove Bellinger. Is he that much better? Well, yes, but is he good enough?
Cody Bellinger.
Okay,
I agree.
He's one of the most underrated players in the game. He does a lot of things really well for you. He's better than Cody Bellinger by a long shot. And he should, if he stays healthy, he's going to impact these guys a lot more than Bellinger did. And that's not to take anything away. They got probably as a bounce back guy the first year with Bellinger, and then even the second year where he didn't perform as well and he spent more time on the IL. They got production out of him. He was an impact player to an extent, and he's a good defender. Kyle Tucker's the whole package, man. And I expect that he's going to do some real damage for this team.
Boy, the Cubs are certainly counting on it. All right, in the next half hour of this show, after you log off, we're going to talk about PCA. MLB Network did their little list thing. Is PCA a top 10 center fielder right now? Not defensively. Is he one of the 10 best center fielders in baseball? But overall, is he one of the 10 best overall center fielders in baseball?
Well,
is he better than Luis Robert? That's the guy they have 10th on the list.
Is that the Luis Robert that limps to first base, or is that the Luis Robert who's fully healthy and chasing down impossible balls to hit?
The graphic says right now.
Well,
right now.
I know you guys know me a little bit. Prospects are prospects for a reason. I don't think he's there yet. I don't think he's established yet. He still has a lot to prove. He's got to bring the bat for a season for me to say that. But that said, think about it. Top 20. Are we talking center fielders or all outfielders?
Center field.
Just center field.
There are only 30 of them, and it's arguable whether there's even 30 of them. So are we saying he's in the upper half? Maybe. But he's still got to show me something with the bat over a whole season. Defensively, there's no question. I mean, the guy's terrific. And I like his headspace. I mean, I think this guy, his parents were actors. He grew up going to studios and watched his parents sign autographs and Hayden Panettiere was his babysitter when he was a kid. How
I
about
didn't know that.
I mean, this kid's not going to shy away from a big stage in a fishbowl atmosphere like Wrigley. So I think he's got the right head, the right mentality to succeed in Chicago on a big stage. And we know what he can do in the field. And he's got a very promising bat, and he runs like the wind. So I think he can be there. I think he can be top 5 if his tools play. But I don't put him there right now because I don't know yet.
Would you, long term, if you were projecting in your head, would you rather have him or Friedel if you're the Reds?
Oh, I'd rather have PCA.
PCA.
I mean, Friedel's a really nice player, and he's gritty and the whole thing, but he's kind of an overachiever. I mean, he doesn't have the tools that PCA does.
Right. I think the bat at this point has shown to be better, but I think as an overall player, it could be. It's you're probably right.
Hey, Gordon, we got like 1 minute left with you. I have a question that I think is important to all Cubs fans. Gordon Wittenmyer says the division will finish 1, 2, 3 next year. Who are the 3 teams?
Cubs, Reds, Brewers.
Cubs, Red, Brewers. I think a lot of people are thinking that way. It's just, boy, the Brewers are really going to have to take a fall. I expected them to take last year. Yeah.
This assumes that they add something to that bullpen that they haven't already added.
Yeah.
Because right now it's a crap bullpen. And if it stays a crap bullpen, then the Reds are going to beat them.
Fair enough. Gordon, we always appreciate your time. Keep up the great work.
Hello.
Tell the Cap Man we said hello.
Ew.
Hey, 10 seconds. Your chili, beans or no beans? When you get chili in Cincinnati.
Chili guy, but that ain't chili. That's crap.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
That's soup. But as far as beans are part of chili. Yeah, that's fine.
See,
all right.
That's what
everyone
tells me that too.
Hey, wait. Let me throw one thing in there. My wife just made some. She likes to make chili with the ground turkey instead of beef.
Uh-huh.
And so we used some of the Christmas turkey and chopped that up. Turkey breasts. I'm telling you, man, that adds that really
instead of ground turkey.
A different. Yeah. Try that sometime. Beans or no beans.
I got one for you. Try cinnamon rolls with your chili next time. That's the Nebraska way. You'll like it. Yeah.
No kidding.
Cinnamon rolls and anyways, we got to go. Sorry, Gordon.
We're more of a grilled cheese program anyway.
Yeah, tune in for that. We'll have you on that podcast too. We're doing a chili podcast.
You should have my daughter on then.
Thanks, Gordon. Keep up the great work and be safe out there.
All right,
We all silly like the mayor.